talk. Let me speak my piece. It's for all my dogs. Coming straight off the leash. She kill 'em all like the Reaper. I need a girl like Nika. She jumping out the gym on all them hoes. Shorty came straight out the bleachers. Hey, she the baddest. Hey, that girl too bad. Hey, she came through with the combo. Cause shorty too lavish. Hey, that girl she the baddest. Hey, that girl too bad. Hey, look, she came straight with the combo.
Welcome to From the DMV Live with Mika. I'm your host, Mika, and thank you for joining me. We're here for another Lavish Conversation. If you don't know what Lavish Conversations are, they are conversations with inspiring people on why existing is not enough. And I have another wonderful, wonderful guest. All of my guests are special. I haven't had a bad one yet. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's not inspiring, huh? What you think? No, I don't think so. Because honestly speaking, we all have inspiration within us. And that's the whole point of me doing this show. That's the whole point of Lavish Conversations Incorporated existing, is so that you know that you're inspiring, and so is everyone that you come in contact with. And so therefore, without further ado, I would love to introduce my guest. My guest is not only a mentor, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, a mother, a role model. She is also a creator, which we all know. I love a creative person in its own right. I'm just saying, being creative has its own crosses to bear, but it is an excellent life to live, and the talents are plentiful in this person. So her name is Melissa Princess Best. However, she is better known as the Healacist. What a name, right? Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
In case you don't know, I am my own what do you call it? Engineer.
Oh, engineer. Come on. How about it?
Anything from the engineering department?
Okay. No, I'm going to plug my phone in right here.
Feel free. Feel free.
Look, I was like, am I on camera? I was like, I ain't want my boob to be showing while I bend down. But you know, black women do it all. So why not?
You know, they did come with your talent.
You know,
that's part of it, right?
You know, that's what we do.
In front of you, because we are here at Iverson Mall in our studio,
yes.
I have for you a snickerdoodle cupcake.
Snickerdoodle cupcake. That's so DC and Maryland.
I'm just in Maryland.
You know what I'm saying?
You cannot come to the area.
Come on now.
And have a snickerdoodle.
So a snickerdoodle. Yes. I love it. Thank you. I'm gonna nibble on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You have to actually we have to thank 20 Bello, because I had him as a guest.
Oh, come on, 20 Bello.
His birthday.
Aww.
And so since it was his birthday, I bought him a cupcake. Well, ever since then, all of my guests got a cupcake.
Okay, like hey, so big birthday shout out, and hey, I love it. Thank you for the sweets, because
right.
You know, if you ain't know that stuff, that's the key to my heart.
Oh, excellent! I want to my own heart, my own spirit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, first off, I have to touch on some of the things that have been happening in our world.
Okay, absolutely.
I don't normally do a lot of current events, but it has been crazy,
has it not? Yes.
I mean, the world is worlding.
Yes.
2025 is 2025.
All day.
Seriously.
All day.
I mean, so we have The most recent, I would say, let's see, we have Shannon Sharp.
Oh yeah. I just listened to the audio, and I'll say a couple of things. One, Shannon Sharp better learn from Jonathan Majors.
Amen.
How about that? Because I thought we had learned. And if you hadn't, you might want to.
You might want to. Why not? Right.
But in listening to it, it also sounded like they were having some type of argument, and it wasn't what it was giving.
My thing though, right, is even if it was a setup. You earned that, boo. Like, why are you that gullible? Like,
this is what
this is the same man that just said. I have seen an interview where he said that he does not, literally does not get on the elevator with women alone, right?
Wow.
So that's very cautionary, right? That's a lot of caution to take, right? If you take that much caution, why are you out here dating your granddaughter, thinking that she's going to have some type of?
Now, was he stating that was there like a previous conversation happening?
Well, he said they had an actual relationship.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is when he was saying that comment about he doesn't get on the elevator with women, was there like a previous, like, was he in spirit of another conversation?
Well, he does that to be like to
be safe.
to be safe.
I heard brothers say that though.
Makes any accusations or anything.
I have heard brothers say that, especially with the development of Me Too movement.
Exactly.
But for Black women, we have always had our own separate thing prior to that. I've heard a lot of brothers say that because they were like, they don't know, because there are like cultural things that may be acceptable within culture and not acceptable in general public. So I've heard a lot of brothers say they move way differently now than they would have than they used to. Just things that you would think are just like getting on the elevator,
like sitting on the phone with some crazy chick who sounds like she might be a little loopy or something, playing up this role. Even like, if you want to role play, baby, we got to do it in person.
The Karens.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. I can.
Okay, so on to our next subject. So that's our take on Mr. Shay. You can't call him Unc anymore, right?
Can't call him Unc.
Everybody, somebody told me today that's not Unc behavior, but I said it sounds like some old dirty uncle.
Well, I mean, what culture are we talking about?
Depending on who your uncle is,
you know what I'm saying?
How bad Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yes, but I pray. But you know what I pray. I don't wish anything bad for anyone.
Me neither.
But what I do hope is that if the Most High is at play in any of this, always. I do hope that whatever lesson is supposed to be received is received, because then whatever comes after it will be powerful.
That's what I was about to say. There's nothing else, a lesson will be learned, won't it?
But listen, if you don't learn it, it will repeat.
Amen. But so on to our next thing. So, he had his whole, enlightenment situation going, but at the same time, then we have this tariff situation, right?
Yes.
Now the tariffs, our president is rampant, as we knew he would be. I mean, there's one thing. I was listening to something about manifesting, right?
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about how Donald Trump manifests so well. And you know how?
Clearly.
He believes everything that he says. So while we're all trying to do affirmations at home, like, I'm the greatest, I am enough, and we don't really believe it, he believes he's the greatest.
No, he does.
And so that's why the things that he wants are coming to fruition so well.
I mean, who was it that said a while ago? Will Smith said that, extraordinary people or creative people, you have to be a bit delusional.
How about that?
Because when people think about you saying affirmations or things of that nature, it's like you have to be a little bit delusional to believe this thing is going to happen, that other people would be like, what? Like, how are you saying that?
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Belief without sight, in all honesty. So faith, in all honesty, is
so we can learn from everyone.
How about that? That's what we learned right there. So wait, I didn't touch on our Thankful Thursday. Okay, well, back to the tariffs real quick. So our tariffs, though, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the tariffs, prices on everything. Okay, that's what we're thinking about, but we're forgetting a very big thing. And I want to bring attention to it. I want to bring attention to the fact that 90% of our medications, our prescription meds, are made in China. Okay. And so do we really want China to say, hey, we're not sending you all anything else, period.
Well,
I think we might need them a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I liken it to, like, anytime something goes on in the world and the first thing that they cut is the arts. Yeah. Right? Because the arts they think the arts is not needed. It's not necessary until the world is depressed.
How about that?
And then it's like, where are the artists?
How about that?
So I think it's the same thing. Yeah. So I think that, it's like, it's a catch-22, right? So it's like, you cut these things off, which is going to cause a whole lot of stuff, right? Sometimes you do need the disruption for the correction, right? But this type of disruption, it's gonna make people move. Yes. It's gonna make people move, and how they respond will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Like, I think, again, coming back from like a cultural perspective, I think nothing surprises us. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Nothing should anyway.
No, I mean, nothing surprises. So, like, for me, I might like be like, I might laugh, or like, I'll just be like, but nothing seems like astronomical. Right. You know, our people survive some of the greatest and gravest things that,
not just greatest and gravest, but the most unimaginable, right?
Absolutely.
Like, that you would never imagine anyone trying to or willingly going through in their lives.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't think.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go live so that way my folks can see. You said I'm gonna go to your page.
Well, go to wearegogomusic.com.
Okay.
And you can share the link from there.
Okay, cool. Hey.
So actually, that brings me to my Thankful Thursday thought of the day. So I'm glad I didn't say it before you said that, because it
leads right into it. Come on now.
So my Thankful Thursday thought of the day is that, there always has to be a crucifixion before there can be a resurrection.
Correct,
right?
correct.
And so I am thankful for the crucifixions that I have endured. Yeah. So that I could have the resurrections that I've had.
That's true.
All the way up to the one I'm currently having.
That's true.
Everybody doesn't know this, of course, but almost 4 years ago now, my son passed away.
Oh my
and when
God,
he did,
my condolences.
Thank you. But when he did, while that was, it knocked me completely down.
I can only imagine.
At the same time, it was a pivotal moment in my life where I could have taken the option to play possum, you know what I mean, to begin to exist, if you will, and no longer live. And so that's why I created Lavish Conversation.
Come on, how about that?
Every conversation we have is a lavish conversation, because we have the opportunity to have it,
Yeah, no,
and
that's
what's somebody who wishes that they did.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. I didn't know that when I first met you, but it also doesn't surprise me. I think that any person that I meet that I find dynamic and is doing something, I mean, you cannot you can't have these platforms and do these things without going through something. And it's the unfortunate and fortunate part of that. I mean, it's I mean, most people, I think about people who, when they're younger, like, I've always understood, my dad died when I was 12, right? And my mom just recently passed. But I tell people, I said, when you experience loss early, or like and certain things early, even though, like, people may think, oh, well, it's traumatic, it's this, that, and third, but it also is part of your shaping. Yeah. It is, the Most High knows the things that will unearth the things, and sometimes the things that will unearth the thing hurts. Yeah. So even the conversation we're having right now, like, I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for the relationship with me and my mom, who had already passed. But it wouldn't have would not have occurred had my father not passed when I was 12. So everything lines up when you look back at it, and so then you have to count it as joy. You have to count it as gratitude, because you're like, if one move, and it would be in a different path. It'd be a different path.
You better say that.
Yeah. So,
in all truth.
Yeah.
In all moments and everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I said I think my last Thankful Thursday thought was, it could have been me. It should have been me. Yeah. It wasn't for the blood.
Yeah.
But so, okay, that brings us to our conversation, though. As I stated, we have our Lavish Conversations, are conversations with inspiring people on why existing is not enough. So let's talk Melissa Princess Beth. Let's talk female empowerment, the arts, and most of all, why existing is not enough in your world for you.
Okay.
So tell me, who was Little Melissa? Ooh. The
Ooh.
day.
So let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna go live because I don't know if I've the way you framed that. I don't know if I've answered
you
that
in that way. It so I did. What they say
now how I do it. Okay,
once
so when
give me here.
Okay, so when I wait a minute, I'm trying to do Facebook Live. Okay, so here I go listen now. Okay, so I go listen now, and then what I do right here. That's where I share it from.
Listen now, where?
I said listen now.
Go to Facebook, and I was going to share it.
Got you.
Got it. Facebook. So they can watch it from your
Boom.
Facebook.
Here you go.
Okay,
so there you go.
Wait, while we work this out, I'm going to share a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back with you.
Yay!
After these messages. As soon as I get to it, there we go.
I don't know how.
Hey, you guys, we're back. So our sponsor for this show is the Fort Lauderdale Fiesta. If you have not already booked your reservation, make sure you do at celebrityfiesta.com. Again, that's the Fort Lauderdale Fiesta. It is an awesome time. There will be New Impressions Band, the Wet Band, and Still Familiar. It's I think 9 parties going on. There's also a bus going down. But check out celebrityfiesta.com for further information. With no further ado, though, we are getting into our lavish conversation. So now we are talking. Hold on a moment. I don't have my banner at the bottom here. We are talking Melissa, Princess Best. The Healacist is in the building.
Yes.
So now, who was little Melissa?
So little Melissa is actually, I mean, if any of my North Carolina family is listening, right, it's Missy, because that's what the country family called me, because my mother and father were both born in a small town in Richlands, North Carolina. So near like the Camp Lejeune base area. So I was born in DC. I was the makeup baby. So my mom and dad got together, got married. My father went off to the service. They had my brother. They went through something. My dad moved to DC. He called for my mom. You know, back then they send for you. He sent for my mama. My mama came up. 9 months later, I was born.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Making it make up.
So I was, my aunties and them would say, like, you know, I've always been, I mean, I'm a Leo, so, you know, being outspoken has never, you know, I never meet a stranger. I'm always ready for a conversation. So when you said 2 hours, I was like, oh, girl, you know. I mean, I just wanted to know we talk because I could talk.
Yes.
And so I would say, what's so funny about you saying that is I found this when I was coming in, and I was like, oh, I wanted to bring some stuff. And I was like, God, what should I bring? And so I found this book. And so I want you to read what it says on the on the outside.
She said that like I could see.
You can say
Melissa's book of writing. Oh my goodness. Melissa Princess Best, author on the rise, writing club. Oh my goodness. Who's Miss Francisco?
So Miss Francisco is my 3rd grade teacher. Now open it to like the first 2 pages and read the date. Read the date. Read the date on it. I want people to see that I didn't make this up.
December 9th. 1989, you guys.
Come on, 89.
In 89. Wait, characters. actual what?
I was
Position. What's this world coming to?
That was the name of one of the plays that I wrote back in 1989. And this book is preserved. You get what I'm saying? It didn't get tore at all. It's like so. And so when you say who was Little Melissa, and you talk about manifesting, so this said author on the rise before I had a book. And then the book that I wrote, I said, so isn't that something to sit there next to that? You know what I mean?
That is amazing. That is amazing.
So, these are the things that as a young kid, like, when I think about it, I'm like, I was 8, 9, 10, right? And what's this world coming to? Right. And what we just talked about. Right. Well, what is this world coming to?
What is this world coming to?
So you think about, there's this thing where they talk about like, the indigo children, or they talk about, young people who can see, and so I think I was that, when I was young.
From the beginning.
Yeah, my mom used to be so scared. We would ride the Greyhound bus when we would come from. I would winter in DC, summer in North Carolina. My mom and dad had to work, so my mom would take me down to North Carolina. Me and my brother down to North Carolina. My auntie would watch us, and she would watch all the kids because she was the youngest auntie while everybody else worked. So when I would get on the Greyhound, I would talk to everyone. And my mom would be like, stop talking to strangers,
That was me.
Yes.
It would be like, stop talking to
everybody. Right. Everybody ain't your friend, missy. Yes. That's what my mama would say. But it was for me, I didn't see that. Yeah. And gratefully so. Definitely, there's stranger danger, but I'm glad because I didn't know that. I didn't think that way. And so I had such great experiences in meeting people and being comfortable talking to people and asking questions that probably other people like, who told you could ask that? Right. But I never thought like, oh, you can't ask that.
But that makes you open to the lesson and the blessing that is in every encounter that you have with people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's so as a kid, that's how, my auntie, she says, she said, when they would take me to church, and she like, you was like a little preacher, and I'll be like, and she said, different. My spirituality has grown, obviously, but my mom and them, they came up in the church. It was 1 to 13 on my mom's side, 1 to 10 on my dad's side. So you talking about 11 cousins, all that. Yeah. And so for me as a kid, it was like I had this city experience and I had this country experience. And I always tell people, I say, my little moniker is, I'm a city, city chick, saying southern, southern thick, spiritual chick, city slick, So that's how I kind of, but I, as a kid, I have really good memories, and even the ones that weren't, but for me, I just remember really being like involved in like the arts. I started arts early, not because anybody told me to, but that's just where my mom and dad took me to a play, and to this day I can't remember the name of the play, but I just remember how I felt, and when I saw the people, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Oh, really? And I locked in on that. It just was like the thing that I was like, I'm gonna do, and so it just evolved from there.
That is so amazing. So yes, your life definitely was preordained.
It was.
I would say it was pretty obvious, right? Okay, so a quick question for you that I ask everybody.
Yes.
Right? Now, what was the first go-go that you ever went to?
And
who were you there with?
Oh my
goodness.
Remember
the band?
Oh my God, I don't. It's hard because the reason why I say that is because when I was younger, my mom was real strict. So like I didn't have, I was a latchkey kid going to school, but you better have your butt in the house. Yeah. So I was the kid that was scared to like, I think I laugh now about me breaking rules. I was the kid back then that was scared to break the rules because I didn't want to get in trouble.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was really that girl.
That's good though.
I was really that girl. So it was like, what, like other kids that might like sneak out and like go to the go. Oh no, you know what I'm saying? And my mother wasn't necessarily. My mother was she's a church person, right. So it's like now we listen to music, we listen to hip hop a little bit and stuff like that, but but we couldn't go to the go-go's. But I'm just thinking, I know I've been to see. I've been to see Back, I've been to see Jump, I've been to see.
You can't remember.
I can't remember the first
exposure.
I cannot remember, but you know, Chuck Brown was always on play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was before I knew Chuck Brown was the father of go-go and like all of that stuff. It was, you know, you just knew it was a part of your stamp. Like when go-go came on, that was the thing. It was like when I was in college in North Carolina, when go-go came on, if you were from DC, it was like we better represent.
Right.
And my friends from North Carolina who be like, well, you live half in DC and half in North Carolina, so you ain't really from DC. I'm like, oh no, baby, this Trinidad Avenue Northeast is still from DC.
That's right.
So you know, so I do remember like dancing. You know, anytime that I heard go-go come on, and I felt like a heavy responsibility when I was in college to like when I was in North Carolina to make sure that I'm you know, like we gotta make sure we have a go-go section, you know.
I like that. I like that you said a responsibility.
Yeah.
I feel like it is our responsibility with it being our music for us to spread it, expose other people to it.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, definitely make sure it's represented. Like you said, we got to have a go-go. We can't just have a, you know, whatever, North Carolina all day, every day.
No, definitely. Definitely. I think that the one that's standing out to me was, I think I saw, Familiar Faces. No, don't Familiar Faces. It was at what's the joint right there by Tacoma Station? It was right there on Butternut Street. That it used to be. It was a what's the spot right there? I just remember it because I just remember the feeling. It was later on in life, but I just remember the feeling of coming in and I saw a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while, and it was just a cool, you know what I'm saying? It was just a cool vibe.
I think of where you're talking about.
It's right 4th and Butternut, where it used to be where City when that turned into Calabash. Right there. What is it? Tacoma Station?
It might be Tacoma Station.
It might be okay. Whole time
maybe the obvious is this.
Right, but you know why? Because it changed names and
so
that's
many times.
That's why. So it's probably Tacoma Station. Yeah.
But I think that's so crazy. Like, you know, that we all know definitely. You've been to the go-go.
Oh,
you've been around the go-go.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been an implemented sound in your life.
Absolutely.
But you don't know when it first began. You know, I love that. But so tell me. How I know you had the arts in you all along. You were always an artistic person. But how did you enter into the arts? Like, when was your first real step in there?
Well, I mean, so from a young girl, I wrote all the time. I journaled. Journals have been something to me that, before there was like all this like meditative, like you know what I'm saying? It was like a natural response.
You mean before it was a niche?
Okay. Because, you know, I grew up in the era where you had the diary with the key.
Yeah. Oh, I had that.
You know, and the pages that were gold that would fall out and stuff. So I grew up in that era. So I always wrote in diaries and all of that. So from doing that, so like whatever I was thinking in the diary, then started to move into, you know, so my first play I remember this brother named Mustafa Madyoun, who's here in DC. He was running an after school program called Met Kids, short for Metro Kids. And it was run out of the old Capitol Children's Museum that used to be on 8th Street.
Yeah.
Me and my brother would come. He was going to Stuart Hobson. I was going to Ludlow Taylor. He would walk over, get me, and then we would go to the after school program. Again, this was before any funding and all of this stuff. This was just Black folk doing some good stuff for their people. And if they got a little bit of fun, but it was, you know, that was that. So it was Mustafa and the sister who's passed on, Heather and Pofo Auntie. We were going there, and they had this play. And I came in the middle of it, and they were like, we're doing this play called Who's in Rabbit's House, which is based off of a Maasai tale, right? And so they were like, okay, you know, you can play the understudy for the rabbit. So I took it seriously. I studied the lines. Even though I was the understudy, I was like, I studied the lines. I knew everybody's part. It just came really natural to me. And so it happened, the rabbit got sick.
Are you kidding?
And so I had to play the lead role.
Oh my word.
And so from that moment, and that was 88, 89. And at that time,
like 80, 89 when you were writing.
Yes, it was right before that. I want to say it was like 87, 88. And so I I stepped into the role, and in that role, I sang, I rapped. Now, this is before I identified as a rapper.
Are you serious?
This is before I'm just, as I was acting, but I didn't know all of the things.
Right.
So I do the play itself, the themes was like talking about like, don't give up, and it's like, and it's this whole tale of like this rabbit that gets locked outside of the house and can't get inside because there's something that's acting like it's bigger than life. And it's like, oh, I'm the long one. You can't, and I'm like, and then when it finally comes out, it's like a small caterpillar. That's blocking the way. So I could have got in my house the whole time. Wow. You talk about social emotional learning. You talk about evolution.
How old were you?
I was probably eight, somewhere around there. So imagine now, here's that. Circa 2024, my daughter's in East of the River Steel Band. Okay. I'm teaching theater in East of the River Steel Band, and I want to bring back this play that was my first thing. I cast for it. We remixed it, and we used the songs. The Drake and Kendrick was going at it at the time. We remixed it and do They Not Like Us and Drake's joint, but we used it. We used different characters, and I invite Mustafa, who's still here. So he got to see the labor of his work, his flowers while he was still. So I just wanted him to know that it was like, that program that you did, that everybody be like, oh, what are we funding? I am the product of it. And now I'm doing it. So for those people who think that arts funding don't go nowhere, baby, I'm living proof. Yes, it does. So that's how I got my start.
That is so dope, though. It's a full circle.
Right? Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So, of course, as we know, life is not always, guaranteed to be up. It always has its ups and it has its downs.
Absolutely.
You can't have the testimonies without the tests, unfortunately. So, can you tell me, as you know, we talk about it, why existing is not enough. And I feel like oftentimes that's that's catapulted rather based on traumatic events, based on, moments where, like I said, you could just start existing and kind of just play possum and wait for things to die over. And I know you've had some experiences and you kind of touched probably on some of your most pivotal ones, but can you share one with us where life just kind of knocked you down and you had to get back up and you had to keep going in order to get to today?
Several are coming up, but let me see if I can pinpoint because brevity is not my strong suit. I would say my mother passed a few years ago. And I think that transition, I would say my mother passing and I was married to my daughter's father. So getting divorced. And so I got divorced in 2020 and then my mother passed in 2021. In between 20, I got separated in like 2018. So between 2018 to now, I've moved like 8 times. Okay. So like in that transition, there was a lot, that was happening. You go from like being married to like, and then you're in this like muddled transition. Then and in that process, COVID happened. Right. And then I took a stab at love after, you know what I'm saying? And got my heart hurt. And so there was a lot in that, but I would say
you realize it just wasn't time yet. I just feel like the need to say that it just wasn't time yet. But go ahead, continue.
And it's so crazy, but I would say that I think my mother passing was so pivotal because she was the arc of my work. I built everything that I've done in terms of like hip hop, go-go theater, like all of the things. I built it around the relationship that she and I had, and the things that we had, and the things that I wanted, and the things that I wanted if I were to have a daughter, which I spoke having a daughter into existence. And for me, her dying was like a pivotal moment of like, well, what does the work mean now? Because I'm trying to prove it to my mama. Right. Y'all get the benefit, but I'm really trying to prove it to my mama. Right. And so she died. Well, who I'm proving it to? And so I'm still in the process of the healing journey of that because I didn't know how much my mother meant to me. She was a great mom. she wouldn't think I would say that, but she was a great mom, very strict, but she's a Capricorn who had a Leo daughter. Okay. So that earth and that fire is a different situation. Right. And the love that I needed or wanted, I can't say needed because God knows what you need. What I wanted was, you know, she loved me her way, right? And my interpretation of that, right, read differently, and the way I parent and the way I love my daughter as a result of that, right? There's some pros and some cons to it, right? And she shared that before she passed. So I would say that her dying has been a pivotal time for me, of me like figuring out who Melissa Princess Best is, and every day I'm learning more about like who she is, like who you see is me, but there's so many, like, you know what I'm saying, when I tell people I never meet a stranger, which means you will probably feel like you my friend from day one, even if you not, but the level of what you might know and show and you know what I mean, all that. And I think for me with my mother, that was kind of like my whole thing was I wanted to know how women and girls, how Black mothers and daughters, how they become friends. Because I would see girls that was like cool with their mamas. Real cool. And I'm like, why me and my mama not like that? Right. Because you're a child. You don't know what those relationships are. I so much wanted, because I wanted to be able to come to my mother and talk about stuff, but she was church girl, and you dot your I's and you cross your T's and you cross your legs, ma'am. And don't be coming in this house cussing. And nothing. And so, but that was a great upbringing. Now I, you know, reflect, that was a great upbringing, but it also, but because I didn't like it, or I fought against it at that time, it made the work, it made the artist in me, it made the rapper in me, it made the mother in me, you know? So it's like, do I really, there are things that I don't have regrets. There are things that I probably would have chosen not to say or be as sassy to my mother. But in all honesty, it had to happen like that. For y'all to get the Healacist, it had to happen like that. God knew that. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing that I can, you know what I'm saying, that I can say, well, you know, everything had to happen the way that it happened. And I believe that the Most High takes people in regard, like, you know, not because that there was something wrong with them, or that they, you know what I'm saying, it is, God is working on something higher. So when God takes a child, a parent, or stuff like that, you like, you can't see it right then. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that somewhere God is saying, you know, she can't become the best artist, the best. She's not even going to be able to arrive. This has to be taken from her. This has to be taken from her because my mother might have been a comfort in some way that I don't even know. And taking that out forces you to go a little deeper, go a little darker, look at your more, because I don't know if you can cuss, but you know what I'm saying? No, okay, cool. I didn't know. So I'm looking at your shit. You know what I'm saying? All of the things. And so I now am like, with all of that happening after she died, I have experienced, I've never been a sickly person. I have been in the hospital. I promise you, in the last 2 years, I've been in the hospital more in my life in the last 2 years than I have ever in my entire life. And that let me know.
That you're not quite going through that. Not quite through that.
And the signs are loud.
I love that you're aware of that. So many of us are in so much denial of our emotions, and we try to negate the feelings that we know are obvious to us. But healing, so there is no, you know, there's no blueprint for healing.
No, indeed.
There's no, you know, what set way for healing. There's no, you know, there's no way to do it. You do whatever. You know, when people ask me what I did to heal, I did everything. Anything and everything.
Throw it on the wall. Bow. Try it. See what happens.
You know what I mean? Seriously. And it's crazy because you talked about meditation. I started meditating before my son's passing. Were you meditating before your mom's passing?
Well, absolutely. So the thing was that, you know, my mother's death was a shock to me. Now she may have felt because she had got a cancer diagnosis. cirrhosis. Now, she died of lung cancer, but this is the thing. My mother used to be a smoker of cigarettes. She had stopped smoking 15 years prior. So her getting the diagnosis, I'm like, what?
Right.
Like, what you talking about? And the crazy part was she called me. She was like, hey, she had just gone to get like a flu shot. Hold that. She'd gone to get a flu shot and some type of COVID shot, some other thing. And then she came back and then they said, we saw a mass. Okay, well, okay. And so in my mind, I'm taking her like just to get checked out. Then they said it's cancer. Then they said it's lung cancer. Then they said it's stage 4. What? In like a matter of like days, weeks, months, like what are we talking about now?
Okay, you got hit. That's a hit.
That's a hit.
That's not a tap. That's a hit.
It's a hit.
Right?
It's a hit.
After you got hit like that, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you not just fall? What did you do? Where did you find that?
Well, so you say that. Well, I was meditating before, but there's two things. Okay, my daughter is one of the reasons that keeps me alive. You know, because shout out to Jazara Royal, the hip hop daughter. I think that I've seen so much death in my life, and because I lost my father at such an early age, I understood death differently. So sometimes when people die, somebody might even think that I'm not compassionate, not because I'm not, but because I'm so used to people dying that I might feel sorrow, but it might not emote out. Not because it's just because I'm like, dang, I'm now thinking about the lesson immediately, right? Where somebody else might still be in their sorrow, so it could come across a certain way. I realize that now. But I think for me, like, there are times I'm sure that I wanted to fall on the floor. I went through emotional imbalance. You know, sometimes it showed up in the way that I treated my daughter, the way that I, dealt with men, the way that I, you know what I'm saying, like the way that I dealt at work, all of the things. I mean, and there was a succession of stuff that occurred. I mean, because like I said, when she died, then not just that, like I moved all these times, I also lost my job. Like, it was, you know what I'm saying, like all of these things, and it was like it felt like, what people would say is an attack, right? They would say it's an attack because it's like dun 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 dun, can't catch your break.
Say it, but while it feels like that whole time, it could be God moving things out of your way.
And I was asking God, and I was asking God before I had I met it. Like I said, I always had I have like spiritual practice. But my problem is not the practice itself. I know the good things. I am inconsistent. And that has been my Achilles heel.
Been there.
My Achilles heel has been like, so I can get up and I can do like God will talk to me and I'll be like, okay, okay, I know the thing, I know the videos to listen to, I know the mantras to say, I know the thing. I got that.
Right.
Until a bump hit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Until like I start talking real tall, you know what I'm saying? And then the opposing forces be like, oh, you thought you was God's child. So let me send that ex-boyfriend that you real weak for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or let me send you, you know what I'm saying? Let me send you that piece of chocolate that you going to eat tonight because you thought you was. You know what I'm saying? And you know me? And that's how it really, like, that's how I be talking to me. And I'll be like, so who you think? What you think you are, and so that for me, the way in which that the process of the healing is everything is like I would keep what I call an emotional trigger log because I understood. So and the reason for it is because of me understanding how I move and how, like, you know what I'm saying, like I would write down, I'll be like, all right, so when stuff happens, like if I can at least concentrate on like what happened, okay, this thing happened, then this thing triggered you, then you went and ate a sleeve of cookies, then you went and called that motherfucker that you had blocked, you was like, all right, I just want relief at this moment. You get what I'm saying? And so and for me, I tell people I be distracted and distracted. You know what I'm saying? I got a song called Distraction coming out on my new album. So you know what I'm saying? Because I think as well, one of the things that and I'm trying to reduce the phobia because Black women don't talk about or any woman for that matter, but I'm speaking about Black women, but we don't talk about like we talk about substance abuse, right? But we don't talk about the non-substance abuse addictions. And I was never addicted to substance, but I've definitely been addicted to non-substance food. My my Achilles heels, food. I'm not really a drinker, but you know, if I would drink every now and again, but but my Achilles heel is good looking black man. You know what I'm saying? And the toxic kind. Yeah. Oh, you know.
Wait a minute. So it's not just you, because I've observed. And I tell my friends all the time, the most attractive man is at least 7 times out of 10 gonna be toxic. Like, first things first. If you think he's cute, ask him where he lives. You know what I'm saying? Ask him where he works. You know, the homosexuals that I know.
Listen, I just had a conversation with a brother today.
Yes, I know.
I just said to a brother today, we are living in the era of the homosexual. Yeah. And he was like, break that down. And I was telling him, I said, yo, and I said, and in this song, I said, why is it always the toxic men that got big dick energy? Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah, it really is a thing. Like, no joke. I'm telling you, every homosexual I know. They're so cool. Yeah. But I see why, because like they're so handsome, and you're like, he has no job, his last 3 girlfriends put him out and threw all this stuff out.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to be number 4 girl.
Right. No,
you don't want to be number 4.
One of my homeboys, my good friend Richard, he tells me all the time, he said, whenever you're thinking about doing something dumb as hell, he said, say that shit out loud. He said, no, I mean it. He said, no. He said, I want you to say, he said, now you about to call this dude over here that got 8 kids.
How about it?
No job. And no car.
And no car.
That's what we doing? I just want to know, does that sound good to you?
How about, instead of saying it out loud, make a voice note and play it back to yourself and then respond. And if you would say, okay, do it. Then
right.
Okay.
And you gotta, and you know, I love it. I love it because I laugh at myself, but in all seriousness, it also is addictive behavior.
Yes, it is.
And I am getting honest. I've never not lied, but I didn't also understand it. I'm getting honest.
Is still a lie, right?
Correct. And so as I'm understanding it,
rabbit hole too. We get hooked on.
We get scroll. So now I'm understanding that, you know, of course, you know, you are the person that has to say it, because when you say it, then it unleashes people who want to say it, but they also don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be, you know, they want to uphold the, you know, and shout out to Michelle Obama, you know, like the Michelle Obama or Claire Huxtable trope, which ain't nothing wrong with those women at all. But I think that my thing is that I want to hold that we get to be that, no matter in what way we, you know, how it shows up, right? And so, you know, so for me, I guess that I would say that was a long answer to this question, right? But I told you brevity in my strong suit. But I would say that I'm sitting with a lot of the non-substance addictions that I have, and it's informing me how to create the new stuff. Because some of the stuff, I mean, a lot of the stuff, because I work with young people, you know, I've created, I don't want to say it's been PG, but PG rated, but kinda, right? But not intentionally. If I need to talk about something rougher, but I think now it's going a level deeper. And then my daughter is about to get involved. Like, I'm really excited because we're working on some stuff together.
Oh, really?
And I wanted that, but I wanted her to say, for her to be okay with it, because, you know, I understand, you know, because as a mom, and you know this, but having girls, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, is she your mini-me? And I tell people all the time, she's my mini-me in the sense of that I had her, but she ain't me. Yeah. And it's clear. Yeah. And she'll let you know. Yes. You know what I mean? So she'll let you know, I don't do it like how you do it, Leo, because I'm a Scorpio and that I do it different. It's very different. Yes, and I the things that it's funny, as a mom, the things that I thought that I would encounter or run into as a mother are different than the things that, you know, like certain stuff I didn't think I would run into, and that's the stuff I am running into. And then stuff I never thought I would do, and it's like, oh wow, you know, so it's like it's a catch-22. Yeah. But I think that in the healing process between losing my mom and like all of the things, two things I always kept sight of. You know, I did this meditation retreat called Vipassana years ago, and I was in a really, really dark place. And when I went, we meditated for like I want to say like 14 hours a day.
Oh,
they
wow.
separated the men and women.
Uh-huh.
You weren't supposed to talk to anybody. You were supposed to really just be internal.
Mm-hmm.
You also weren't supposed to journal, but I break rules. That was the one rule that I broke. They said you weren't supposed, because I could not journal the experience, because the artist in me always wrote.
Yeah.
So I journaled the experience, because we were there. We were like eating vegetarian. You had to sit with you and only you. And the only thing you had was the guide, during your meditative sessions. And other than that, it was like total detox. And I remember being in the field one day, and I said, God, no matter what happens to me, make it so that I never get lower than this point. Like whatever this point is, remind me. And the quote that came to mind that it's a social psychologist, Naeem Akbar. He said, structure your life so that you're constantly reminded of who you are. Structure. And so what I realized was that in the backdrop, when I got back, I have a massively supportive sister circle. When they keep me alive, like they keep me alive, because when I am going through whatever I am going through addictively, if I was by myself, if I didn't have, both my parents are gone, so I don't have that, but I'm like, I absolutely have at least 10 good women that I can call if I am spiraling, if I'm not fit, if I'm out of pocket as a mother. I don't have to do it by myself, and I can't, and I won't, and I don't.
That's amazing.
I don't.
That's amazing. I want to say shout out to those women. That's amazing. For real. You know how many women talk about they don't have that? They can't name one. They can't name.
Oh, I can name over 10. And I'm telling you, and I say, and that's God's blessing.
Yes, it is.
God took my parents, but gave me family. And I tell people all the time, I said, you better say that. I'm real. Here, and I'm like, I don't have a lot of blood family in DC now, but I'm like, the other day, I just met one of my dad's best friends. My dad has been dead 34 years. He came to my uncle's funeral, and he was saying, and I said, oh my God, he said, he know my dad, but they call my dad Wayne. I went up to him, I was like, oh my God, can I talk to you? He lives here. To get that, the little girl in me just melted,
of course.
Like to be able to do it. But what I'm saying is, and like, he's kind of taking me under his wing, like as his daughter. And all I'm saying is, I know, I don't know about nobody else. I am absolutely loved. I am absolutely supported. I don't know any haters. If there is anybody who doesn't like me, I don't know. It don't take residence for me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It doesn't take residence, because when I say that I am completely loved, and so any bullshit that I get into ain't because of nobody else. It's because of me. So because I love.
You can take the onus.
You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. I am my own bullshit. You know what I mean? So I know.
We all are, right?
Yeah.
I was about to say we all are.
Yeah. Because it's like, me and my girls, we always talk about, like, I very rarely be blaming somebody else. Yeah. Because even in whatever thing that I manifested in this, that, and the third, right? It has come to show me something. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So while it's here, figure it out. Because if not, that shit gonna revisit you
over and over
again.
That's the worst part.
Yes, right. and I am hard headed.
You're not the only one. Trust me.
By
far.
But
it's crazy because being bored up in church and everything. You would think that we would get this a little sooner.
Come on now. But it's made for that, right? I realized, I was brought up in the church, so I didn't require it of my daughter, because I was like, dang, we Bible study, you in Bible study, you this, you. And now that I don't, then my daughter's like, Ma, are we Christian? And I'm like, why you ask that? She said, because my friends at school, she goes to Nation House, she goes to Africa. She said, my friends at school was just trying to figure out what's my religion or my spirituality. I said, mommy was raised in a Christian house. I said, but grandma was like AME. She was Jehovah's Witness. All things God, she been that. But I told her, I said, I slacked from that. But in me slacking from that, then some of the things that I got, she needs, but because the type of parent I am, I didn't concentrate on that.
Right.
So it skips generations.
Yeah.
So what I realized was that it was like my mother gave me things, and then I'm like, she don't need that shit because I don't need. No, see, but the thing is, I have to understand. So I'm parenting from the place of what I don't want. Yes. But she actually need that shit
because you needed it too.
Right, I need it. Right,
you
but it
might not place the same
value on it. Right,
that you
exactly. Because I'm sitting there like, well, I said, Jay, you got to go to God, and this is, and she's like, oh, but and I'm like, oh, I realized I skipped that. I skipped that part because I thought that she would just, I thought that part would just pop on to her.
Yeah, you like that's the easy part. That's the easy part
because she watches me do my quote books and she gets that, and so certain stuff she take and certain stuff she be like,
yeah, exactly. That is so crazy. That's how kids are, and we don't realize that, especially like. So I have 4 daughters.
Yes.
So my oldest daughter will look at stuff that my youngest daughter does, and she's like, "Who raised her?" You know what I mean? And I have to explain. Literally, they have 2 different parents.
Absolutely.
So when my youngest daughter says, "I'm about to jump out the window," when my oldest daughter said, "I'm about to jump out the window," I said, I used to jump out the window. I was all right. You know how it works out?
Let me how it works out for you.
You got insurance, you know? My youngest is like, I'm about to jump out the window. Well, now I've had these life experiences, right? I've lost children, Now she's like, I'm about to jump out the window. And I'm like, no, don't jump.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's crazy because it makes you a whole different person.
A whole different person.
And so that's like, part of my whole living versus existing.
Absolutely.
Who I was before is not who I am today.
Right,
who I am today is not who I'll be tomorrow.
No.
So speaking of that and who we are and who we were, who is the Healacist?
Oh, so the Healacist by definition, it's a combined word. It's the healing lyricist.
Yes.
It gave that. Sometimes people be like Healacist, if they ain't not in the rap band. But
I used to rap.
Okay, come on, how about it? We about to freestyle now. And the thing was that I went through a evolution of names.
Okay.
So I started off as Princess of Controversy.
Oh.
So, and that was supposed to be, that was back in the early 2000s when I was like, I'm gonna be like the female Pac, right? And so, my manager at the time, Reese Cat, she passed on there. She was like, she was like, that name. She said, what you're talking about isn't really controversial because people actually really agree with you.
Oh.
And I was like, she's like, so you're not really doing anything controversial. So, and in the marketing world, I was just like, okay. So then there was a brief stint where I was like, okay, the type of music that I do is soul hop. So then I was Princess of Soul Hop for like a slight second. So then, so then I was like, posh. And then after that, it was like, and then what I didn't, and then what I didn't realize was that people thought I was telling them to call me Princess. And because they would put my name in quotations. And I was like, if you don't take them damn quotations off there, my daddy named me Melissa Princess Best. This ain't no made up name. Who the hell you think I am? Walk around, call me Princess.
Oh, I love it.
I know I'm a Leo, but I ain't that damn vain.
Wait, Princess.
Yes.
I'm that vain. So my mom used to be like, it's only one queen in this castle.
And that's me.
And so I went to college, right? In Selma, Alabama. Story time, if you will.
Story time.
I arrive on campus in Little Selma, Alabama, and they say, what's your name? And I say, you can call me Queen.
Oh.
And everybody says, Queen. Her name Queen. For the rest of the time I was there, I'm like, that is not Queen. Can somebody fix this? Like, I said Queen. How'd y'all get Queen?
Queen.
That's Queen right there. Queen. So yeah, I'm Devin.
I love it.
I wanted my name to be Star when I was in high school.
Really?
No, elementary school. And my father told his friends my name was Moon.
Oh. You know what?
Yeah, I stuck to Mika after that.
Okay. He was like, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Call me Mika. Just forget it.
I love it.
So you went on.
Yeah, so I went on from there. And so
you were trying to be a princess.
I thought I was trying to be a princess.
You were a princess.
Right. And so then I got some really good, as you grow in this business, you learn how important names are.
Yeah.
And I remember this girl giving me some marketing advice, and she says, talk about like who you are. And so at that moment, then at that point, I had my daughter.
Right.
And after I'd had my daughter, then there was this sort of like, I didn't change as an artist, but there was more now to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I want, because what I had realized was that a lot of women who were in the performing arts industry, that we'd be like, where's so-and-so? Or where did Salt and Pepper go?
Yeah.
Or where did so-and-so go? You know where they went? They had kids.
Yeah.
And somebody told them that they could not be this and that. Oh, once you have kids, you're not going to be relevant in a rap game. Well, you're not going to be, but we are living proof, because we had to live through the era of the music now becoming like, yes, now you do have 50-year-old rappers, because we were those people younger. So now I'm not trying to be young. This is the music that we grew up on.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, like literally. So it's not, you're not trying, it was a young man's game at one point, but it's not now.
Right.
So
it was a young man's game because that was who created it.
That was who created at the time. But now,
and he was still young. Now that young man is old as I
right. So, and they still doing it.
Yeah.
So after that, then I was like, I'm going to be the hip hop mama. And I wanted to be the hip hop mama because I wanted to research any woman who is a leader, who felt like she couldn't be because of children, that she couldn't be because of, to be like, like, I'm, what I'm saying? I'm proud 46, baby. This black zone crack.
Hey,
what I'm saying? And I'm like, and yes, I'm going to still be rapping because I don't just rap for like, I'm not out here just like, I'm just dropping albums to be dropping albums. My albums are curriculum, baby. That's what we doing.
That's what
so for me, it's like, I can do this because it's not just for maybe at some point when I was younger that there was a celebrity part of it, but I've always, since I was young, what's this world coming to? I've always had some undertone of that. So I became the hip hop mama. And so hip hop mama stuck, right? And then go back to the marketing drawing board, and they said, well, hip hop mama is who you are, but it doesn't tell what you do. So it tells who you are, but it doesn't tell people what they can get from you. Okay. So then we go back to the drawing board, and I'm like, okay. I was like, so everything, as I heal, you heal, we all heal, right? I am the person who heals, empowers, amplify, activate, and liberate the voices of women and girls so we can have better communities and a better world. So I'm like, heal. I'm like, I heal with the lyrics, so this lesson of the lyrics, the healing of the lyrics, the Healacist. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
So what people can get from me is, quite literally, the Healacist is the healing lyricist. So it's like through these lyrics, which is what a lot of people do anyway. They're Healacists anyway. You know what I'm saying? But because these words get perverted, like what I didn't want people to do was come to me like as the guru, because what happens is that when you get put up on a pedestal like you're the guru, as soon as you fuck up on something, then what are we in a cancel culture, right? But two things can be true at the same time, because in my fuck up, God can be using me. You know what I'm saying? To show you something. So I was a little afraid of that because I'm like, because people, like, are you a doctor? Are you no, but I am God's conduit.
How about that?
Stamp that. You know what I'm saying? I'm God's conduit when I'm at my highest. And so I have to structure my life. So with the friends that remind me when I'm on bullshit, because there's God in them. But I structure your life so that my daughter, who is a mirror reflection, who comes not from me to teach her, but to guide me to the shit that I'm missing, because that's what God actually gives you kids for. We think parenting is about guiding this life. No, it's an assignment so that you can see the things that you're missing, because you can't even guide when you don't, so when you're it's like my daughter is helping me point out things in myself to fix for me. So who the teacher for real? Seriously. So I learned
real
that.
Talk, like, let's think about it. Let's just think about it real quick. How many of us would really give our control of our life, of our day-to-day to a 21-year-old?
Right. Correct.
or younger.
Correct.
And I'm just saying, you can have kids younger than 21.
Mm-hmm.
So do you really think parents know it all? No, we don't.
No.
We're all just out here freeballing
Right.
it, doing the best we can.
Listen.
As you said earlier, throwing it at the wall.
Hoping that junk
Hoping it sticks.
Look, that's what and a book that I just collaborated on is called 100 Poems of Possibilities and Healing. And then my chapter is chapter 18, and it's called Motherhood Don't Come with No Manual.
Yes.
It don't.
That is the absolute truth, like at all. And not only does it not come with a manual, you don't get a grade book. You can't really check on how you did.
But let me tell you.
How do you even know when you've done a good job? It's not when your child's an adult.
Nope.
Because what if they're a horrible parent?
Yep.
What if they're a horrible grandparent?
Right.
Does that make you a horrible? Like, what is it that is the quantifier?
I got the cheat code. Two things. Mm-hmm. I asked my daughter for my grade. I actually do. We actually have conversations because I'll check in with her, and some people I check in with her because she's highly emotionally intelligent,
right?
And I don't take the credit for that. I think that's her God being. Mm-hmm. That's me and her dad's rearing, and the community that supports her, right?
Right.
But I'll be like, hey, let me check in with. I'll be like, if you had to grade me, like how I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, right? I agree with that definitely wholeheartedly, and I check in with mine. But here's the kicker. These are tainted graders.
Oh, of course.
So the fact that you did not go to Miami this month probably makes you a horrible parent off break. Before we even think about the fact that you kept trying to feed me that daggone salmon, and I told you. I'm sorry, I was having a moment. That was my house. All of a sudden now, 3 of my daughters, 3 out of 4 are allergic to salmon.
Right.
I've been making salmon their whole life. So
and then what happened?
When did the allergy kick in?
Stop it.
Or was I just torturing them kids?
And it lets you know. And of course they are tainted graders, but I realize I've been a teacher, and teachers are tainted graders too. Yeah. Because who was it? The sister Rita Pearson. She did a TED talk and she said, kids don't learn from people they don't like.
They sure don't.
But teachers are also, you're supposed to love every kid.
But that was a good point, and
you don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you got the kid that's got the 69.5 and you don't like them,
right?
Ain't no extra credit available. And you know what I'm saying? But no, 69 when I was growing up was an F. You had to make a 70. It had to be a 70 to be a now the kids, it's a 60 is an F.
When you growing up, I think I might have gotten caught in that curve if I did that one.
I'm telling you.
Pushing a few of them.
Listen, it was 93 and up was an A. 85 to 92 was a B. Yes. Yes, and so that's how it worked. It was like 77 to this was and then 70 to 76 was a D. Anything below 70 was an F.
You went to DC school.
Well, I went to DC schools first, but then I went to North Carolina.
Yeah,
so.
See. In Maryland, we don't do that. In Maryland, you get a 70, you could get a C.
See, that's it. And I think that's that grading curve. But
that's that.
Yes,
we get messed up.
Yes, exactly. So I landed on the Healacist. So I use the Healacist. Sometimes I use Hip Hop Mama because I call my daughter the Hip Hop daughter. So you'll hear me say both, and then like sometimes when people introduce me, they'll be like the Healacist, Hip Hop Mama, Princess Best. It's super long, but I'm wordy, I'm loquacious, so that's what it is. But I use them interchangeably. So the Healacist is what I offer, to people, and then the Hip Hop Mama is who I am at heart, like because my goal is to show this relationship with me and my daughter and just and liberate people, in that way, and like and us walking in it. So so that's how the evolution sort of came.
I love that so much. So you have a company as well, and you do a lot of outreach also. But so tell me about your company and what made you actually form it. We all a lot of us are entrepreneurs out there, but the difference in being an entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur has to do with that formulation. You know what I mean? The designation and all of that great stuff. Filing your taxes and the such.
Oh yes.
So what made you make that shift, and how did you make that shift into making it a business?
Well, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. I've been in business and I haven't done it that way, and part of that had been, and this is just from coming from being like a young artist, right? I was fortunate. I was very blessed. I've always been in performance and the arts. And when I got out of school, I was lucky enough to I started teaching. I started volunteering with Upward Bound.
Right.
And so with Upward Bound, shout out to Upward Bound. And when I started doing that, they contracted me because I did such a good job with the young people. Okay. And so I was doing, so back then I'm doing public speaking. Yeah. I'm getting into rapping. I'm doing all these things. This is back when Bar None was popping and all that stuff. And so I had operated, I would say I've operated under the radar as far as business is concerned for years. Yeah. And so I would, so I would do like DBA, doing business ads. But that's not really under the radar. Well, yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, because, right. Like I said, I would still say that there are things that I don't do, that I should do business wise, but forming that in, I formulate, you know what I'm saying? I formulated, so like me, like I'm rebranding now. So everything that I've done up until this point, like I've called it all different types of names. And I landed on why I'm taking it more serious is because now I see the full circle of it.
The big picture. Right. That big picture we talked about before,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Shout out to the evangelist and London Marie.
Hey, y'all. I see y'all.
Yeah, that's crazy though, and that's that full circle that we were talking about, right? Yeah, you can't see the picture when it starts forming.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
When it comes into view, how beautiful is it?
Absolutely, and like I say, I've been lucky that I have made money, in ways where without having stuff set up, but because I'm the type of person and people recommend me. So like what happens is I'll go speak at a school, I'll perform, I'll do this, and they'll be like, you've got to meet her. And like, so my name would be thrown in at tables. So I would be showing up in places and that's why I say that's gotta be, it's God. It's God. Like, because I don't quote unquote advertise. Right. I'm on social media, but what I'm saying is that the people who have booked me or things like that, it's not because they went to my website, because sometimes the website be up and sometimes it be down. You get what I'm saying? So it don't be that. It be I went somewhere that impacted someone, and I'll tell you quick story time. And I'm gonna tell you how this is how really God moves for me. I had my daughter, my husband at the time was now my ex-husband. I was like a stay-at-home quote unquote mom, but I was working like contract gigs. So I was able to take my daughter everywhere and stuff like that. But it was becoming a little, because she was getting older or whatever. So randomly, this young girl that I had mentored and she had been in a play of mine calls me. She's like 17. She like, this person says, oh, what you doing right now? And I was like, I'm raising my daughter, She was like, how would you feel about teaching theater? And I was like, what you talking about? Like, of course I can do it, right? But I was like, and it was right at the time where it was like, it was the time to be an adult and structure my life or whatever. Yeah. And so she's like, well, we don't have a theater teacher here at our school. So I went to the principal and I told him I had someone for him. I kid you not. Now, and I want to say this because there are people right now who are probably like, I didn't have a teaching certificate, but I've been teaching for 10 years, right, in schools and this. I have never taken the praxis, none of the things that you are supposed to have to teach. I go in, I meet with the principal. The principal takes me to the classroom to rap with the kid and like do a mock class. Yeah. At the end of class, he said, "You are hired." I said, he said, I don't care about done. I had the experience, and that's why I want to tell people, because sometimes they get caught up in like, I went to college and things like that, but when I tell you anything that I do, nobody ever asked me about my degree. Right. Never. Now that's not to say that college can't be important, but I'm just saying they don't ask for that.
And not only that, but anything that God assigns you to, He's going to qualify you.
And I'm talking about, He moved that right on out the way, gave me the offer right there, and said, "You starting," and I taught there. Yeah. And so it just showed me that it's like I don't gotta play by the same rules at all, that other people do. Not when God is with you. Yeah, not when God is with you. So it was like, you're like, how you listen? Yeah. When I tell people that I was like a 17-year-old student got me hired, was like I just was talking to the principal like on some casual, like, listen, I got somebody for you.
I told him I got somebody.
Who doesn't? You got to be, as Cat Williams said, you got to be in line with your star player that you went to the principal of your school and said, hey, homie, you ain't got to look no further. You ain't got to do no job search. I already got the person.
I got the plug.
Let me tell you.
I am the plug.
Let me tell you. And that year we did a hip hop theater piece that was based off a barbershop and beauty shop called Cutting Up, which is crazy because right in Southeast there was a barbershop called Cutting Up. And it was just everything was all like in alignment. It was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah. So that for me now is the work. So the work now is called the re-education of Black girls.
Okay.
And this was pre-Trump coming into office, right? Yeah. And so I won't change it. At first I was kind of scared because I was like with everything with DEI, but I was like, you know what? This is the thing. But the reason why it's the re-education is because my introduction into hip hop, into the hip hop world, and really reintroduction into the go-go world was through Lauryn Hill. Right? And so, Lauryn Hill made the classic album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, based off of The Miseducation of the Negro, right? Exactly. So, point to it, she took the concept of that book, right, and remixed it into a hip-hop album. Was ingenious. Ingenious, so much so that Apple just recognized it as the #1 album ever of all, and she ain't make but one studio album.
How you don't make but one album?
You gotta be a bad bitch. Okay, like for real. Because you could call her crazy, you could call her whatever, but that don't happen. Yeah. And so what people recognized was that the album itself was not just an album. Yeah. It was healing. It is healing. Yeah. It is curriculum. Yeah. And so what I recognized was that when I listened to Lauryn Hill, it made me go to books to look things up.
How about that?
When I listened to her, it made me research concepts. That is part of teaching. Exactly. That is so to me, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So she did this for me. Yeah. This was at a time when rappers were starting to get actor roles. Yeah. And so I took on getting it. At first it was just me making sure that I had the skill. Then it was like, I'm writing this. So, and then when I sat back after all of this, the ancestors talking to me, all these people passed, all these things have happened, health stuff. And I'm like, what do? And I said, it has to be, the re-education of Black girls, because I was like, it's like all my life is about Sankofa. All my life is about going back to come forward. Yeah. Figuring out where we came from to figure out where we are now. My life has always been that. Yeah. So my life has constantly been education through an arts lens. It's always been. It's not that I can run from. And so my pivot now is that, oh my God, I can really do public speaking. I can do hip hop. I can do theater always, because the type of music, the music that I'm making is a music for you to thumb through this workbook that goes with it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? To go so each one of these now, this music, the videos, the different things like that, they're going to do for other people what Lauryn Hill did for me, which was, so Lauryn Hill was our teacher, our auntie, our mother, because Lauryn Hill was teaching the lessons that some of us might have missed, or we needed to hear it from, somebody tell you something 10 times, but you hear it through this voice and you can hear it.
Sounds completely different.
So I'm like, so now I understand it at this next level. So now I'm getting a little more business vibe.
That's right.
And I had to, because I got in some tax trouble too.
Well, that's how the money comes.
Yeah,
that's how the money.
I missed a lot of money.
Patricia Andrews.
Hey mom, hey auntie,
North Carolina.
What up? Yeah, no, and for me, I think getting understanding that, and then filing, if you're talking about doing taxes, doing taxes as a sole proprietor, as I done ran into tax trouble, and now I'm seeing, I'm like, okay. And I'm also seeing some of the rooms that I could have gotten into had I gotten my paperwork together.
In order.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So in that way, I do need to be disciplined. Yeah. And that way I do need to be, because there's money that I've left on the table, not even knowing. Yeah. Not even knowing. Yeah. And because I'm I will, I'm such a community person. I am such I don't even, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody revving. Oh yeah.
They're seriously going over there.
Okay, for real. But
believe it or not, we're in the mall. It's
in the mall.
Outside.
Okay, they racing. But I would say that I'm taking, I'm starting to take steps now more business wise because you play the game, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand the language,
yes,
which is why, why we're a beautiful people of, so assimilation can be bad and good, right?
Yeah.
So assimilation is good for when you got to talk the talk and speak the, whatever buttery words that you need to hear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because as Lauryn Hill said, I had a motherfucking so you ignorant niggas hear me, right? So I get that. So here I speak this language here. I speak this language here only to get what I need to get done.
Yeah.
But the work never changes. Yeah. The work of I heal so that we can heal so that they can heal. All of that is still there. Mm-hmm. So now I'm taking the business more seriously. So now we're under the re-education of girls. It's in progress of being developed. And but for me, I'm one of those people. Some people, they wait until the end of the process to then put it out and be like, I want all my ducks in a row.
Yes.
I could do that. But I am a beautiful mess. And a beautiful I'd like to show that there's more than one way that it can be done. Yeah. And that because I want people to see that, take whatever pieces from me. Not everything that I say may not work for you, but there are pieces somebody be like, yeah, I don't move like that. Yeah. I realize I didn't move like other people move, but I'm going to take some of the good pieces, some of the pieces that I need to take to be a good businesswoman. Yeah. I do need to take. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, let me tell you. So, like you said, a lot of people wait until they have all their ducks in a row before they move or anything. Mm-hmm. They actually drive me crazy. Yeah. Because I feel like nothing is ever perfect. Yeah. And I honestly feel like God gives you a vision, right? Mm-hmm. He gives you a dream. Only you got that dream. Yeah. You're supposed to then just take that first step. Once you take that first step, it's like you're in a dark tunnel, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need to be able to see in front of you. Just keep taking a step. Mm-hmm. And if you just keep taking those steps, absolutely, keep lighting your path as you're moving.
Absolutely. So when is your birthday, though?
Forward, March 2nd.
March 2nd. Oh, you're a Pisces. Oh, wow. You okay? Yeah. Okay, I should see it in your eyes. Okay, you got water, but no, because you give some fire energy, so that's why I was like,
I don't have any energy.
Okay, look, but definitely, and
I'm the most Pisces.
I was married to a Pisces. So I already know.
Look, and my mom is a Pisces. Yeah.
Oh, you got lots of water. Yeah. So in my house, so when I was married, my daughter's a Scorpio and my ex-husband's Pisces. So, but my fire, so all that water to my fire.
So all in there boiling.
Yes, all day. But now I'm done on the business.
She said, that's my niece. I love you.
I love
you. Yes, but that is the absolute truth, though. It's crazy how the world just works right on time. Absolutely. In the way that it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
But it's hard to keep that in mind all the time, isn't it?
Yes, right? It is.
Like it's harder in the midst of the battle to think, I mean, I'm gonna win this battle because I win all the battles. Yep. Like that sounds cocky as I don't know what, but that's life, right?
Right.
You've literally survived 100% of your bad days.
Absolutely.
So for you to even look at today like, oh, I'm not gonna make it, it's kind of like, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, little faith.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Well, and I always say that life is about remembering and forgetting, and you and I mean, and again, that's a part of the process, right? Like you get blessed, and you revel in it, right? But how long do you revel in it before whatever next challenge comes or whatever next thing comes, right? And so in the moment that the challenge, you forget about this, not because you're not blessed, but because the challenge sometimes shakes you so much that you forget what the process is. Because, Iyanla Vanzant says the first thing to go when people are low is their spirituality, because it's the least tangible, but most tangible, right? So your spirituality goes because it is something that you have to have within yourself. It's like the other things, the physical things you got to grab onto. So with spirit, so you have to come back to spirituality to remember. Remember them other 50-11 things that the Most High got you through. Yeah. But right now you can't remember it because it feels so hard, and it's like tomorrow you'll feel bad. Like when I literally just experienced that. Like 2 things happened to my truck. I scraped my truck cutting too close coming out of a parking lot.
I was about to say a parking
garage. Yeah. I was coming out of the parking lot with them little yellow post things, and it had a whole yellow thing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I drive Uber and Lyft, so I'm like, oh my god, I gotta fix this, whatever. God, and I'm like, so it's scraped. Then a few days later, so I filed the claim for this. They're like, oh, you got to pay a deductible. And I was like, I don't have the money for this. Oh my God, what am I doing? And so then a couple days later, a tree outside my house falls on my car, but it didn't fall. But this the crazy part. It fell, but it didn't fall on it. It fell around it. Right. So the spiritual hood Negro in me, Chat GPT, what's the spiritual significance of a tree falling and encasing your car, but it didn't break it?
Right.
And the first thing it said was, well, you know, because AI is so emotionally intelligent.
I'm not going to tell you you're the third person today to tell me what ChatGPT told you.
ChatGPT said, well, you know, the tree not hitting the car shows you that God is actually giving you, saying, God is saying, I hear you. And that, you know, I want you to see. So it was, the tree was protecting, right? So let me explain. So this said the tree was protected. So as the guy was saying, listen, I'm taking you through some stuff, but like it's you know, understand, trust it, right? So a couple days later, now I get 2 checks. For, you know what I'm saying? And I needed this money, but at the moment I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, why is this happening? Look, because your emotion brain, right, takes over. And when you emote so hard about the thing that you're going through, it pushes the spirituality out, because what happened is you're emoting so high that the body cannot remember. You know what I'm saying? So, because spirituality rises in calm. Right? It rises. It's like when you come down after the cry, after the whatever, and then you look up on your walls, and my walls, and I see, you know, like right now we see Chuck Brown. You know, you start being reminded. Ooh, you start hearing the things. You start playing the thing. But it's like while it's high, the spirituality goes away, because spirituality can't exist in that space. It's like you tripping right now. So your highness is pushing it's pushing the faith away. So that's like, okay, now you gotta come down, and then the stuff start coming back. That's why I say, I know, you know, my friends who know me really well, you know, that they already know when I trip out, like, cause I'm a fire, and it's like, and you know, and then afterwards, and I'll be like, oh yeah, so y'all, okay, I did this, and I listened to this, and I, you know, and they be like, okay, girl, you know, cause they know.
I was doing a bit much.
You know, it was just like, you know, it's like, but you got to go through it. You got to go through that. And so when that happened, I was like, I think, you know, because I always laugh at how I think God talks to me, right? And I was just like, you know, okay, God, like, you over there tripping about it, you know what I'm saying? And then I was able to buff out the yellow in the car, and I was like,
the whole time you tripping.
But I had to calm down. And then one of my sister friends, they done got on the thing probably on the Chat GPT, like, girl, you can do this to get the car. You know what I'm saying? But I was so like, oh my God, like I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. And I was just like, you know, so all that.
No, that's so true.
That's okay.
That's so true, though. Like, that's how it is. You'll be like, oh my God, I gotta go, such and such, and then you look up and you're like, oh, it's right there.
Right.
You know, like,
it's like, it was like, you did all that. Like, I be imagining God as my alter ego, and God being in the corner, like, yeah, when you get done, let me know. Ready. Yeah, let me know when you finish.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like God does that to me all the time.
Yeah, me too. So can you imagine how much of God's time is spent just like that?
Navigating.
Watching us spaz out.
Like spaz out.
Here she goes. Crash out. It's about to happen.
Look, I just saw some shit from her last week, but she over here tripping.
Last week? You mean earlier
today?
She was looking for those car keys. When she was looking for those car keys, oh my God, why have thou forsaken me? Girl, boo.
Right, exactly. And so I just, I love it, because when I you know, when I have the conversation with God, I'm like, man, this joint is funny. Because to know, but what I liken it to is going back to that meditative retreat. I said, God, whenever I get here, don't let me get below here. And then the reminders start coming. So what I started seeing, I started tracing, when I am on the right path, what people call me, what things start to like, because it's life is a cycle, right?
No, not only that. That's what you're attracting into your vortex.
Right.
Those are the people you attract at your good time.
Right. Well, and it's like, and I'm like, oh, usually,
right.
I'm like, okay, so when this person comes around, I usually get creative. When this happens, that I usually do this. When I start listening to this thing happens. So so when I say I was doing the emotional trigger, now I'm doing like the spiritual trigger of like, what are these things that when I have gone to whatever place, now what are these things that bring me back? Oh, when I have these phone calls on my sister circles, when I do these things, now I'm starting to see, okay, oh, this is the snapback. So people be talking about the snapback. Oh, baby, my spiritual snapback. It almost is, for lack of a better word, it's bipolar. You know what I'm saying? And recently I had this conversation with my therapist. Actually, tonight we're supposed to be doing an assessment. Shout out to anybody who identifies, as bipolar. My dad, my dad passed, and they had ran tests on him, and it said he was manic depressive.
Oh, really?
I didn't know until recently that manic depressive is bipolar. So my therapist was asking me, and when I was talking with her,
that makes a whole lot of sense.
Listen,
I'm not going to tell you who.
Listen,
that makes some sense.
Well, and I'm sharing this with you and for the public, I guess, for the first time. I mean, I'll talk more about it. But my therapist was like, I think you might be bipolar.
Okay.
And I was like, well, she's like, no one in your family is? And I was like, no. I said, my dad was manic depressive. She said, that's bipolar. And I said,
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I have this history in my family, and then when I start to think about how I get, the hypermania, the things that I like that go on, and so and how we have to like destigmatize, and I really want to, because we are highly functional even when diseased. Yeah, we are highly functional even when, and I don't even want to say disease, but like we're so that's the thing.
I don't think there is a normal, and so I think we got so used to trying to
figure that out.
Normal that we all found out that none of us are normal. We're all abnormal,
right?
Which means, aren't we really normal?
Right. And let me tell you.
Shout out to Team Nosy.
Okay, Team Nosy. What up, Team Nosy? But and not just that.
Crazy, though, so we all have
my mama
abnormality.
Let me tell you, I used to hate. My mother used to say, Missy, you're not normal. You don't live like normal people. Normal people don't do the things that you. This is what my mama said.
Yeah.
And it used to hurt me so bad, because I was like, well, why do you say that? Like, I'm not abnormal. I'm not abnormal.
Right.
I hated the word abnormal for so long. And then when I got older and people were like, there is nobody like you there, and I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, you're not normal. And I'm like, wait a minute.
And you suddenly heard that.
And I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, and people are like, but that's okay, because who could be me? Who could actually be Melissa Princess Best?
Who wants to be normal?
Who wants to be normal?
That sounds so dry.
Right. And once I fit, because I was like, again, trying to achieve something that doesn't actually exist.
Yes.
There are no two people, no two families living. You just said in your own household, you've got two daughters who have two different parents, because you were two different people to them. So they had two different experiences.
And they were in the same household.
Right. Somebody would say, so is that, because you can't raise them all the same. Exactly. Because they aren't the same.
And not only that, but if I'm raising them all the same, right? So if I was the same person, my oldest daughter, I met that chick when I was 21.
Okay. So there it is.
First off, I was Tamika at 21, okay? And Tamika was bout it, okay? I'm just saying, she was nothing to be played with. Now, Mika is nothing to be played with, but definitely on a different level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mika cares about freedom.
Yeah.
Not just, while I'm free outside of bars, but freedom altogether, like my freedom of not being bound down by what your issues may be, or whatever else, so, or the drama of the world, or whatever else like that. You can't really pull Mika out of her square, whereas Tamika was just like tick tick waiting for a boom. So now imagine being raised by tick tick waiting for a boom, and then imagine being raised by I'm so grateful for every experience we have,
Yeah.
and every encounter we have, and every opportunity, even our disagreements,
Right.
are opportunities for growth in
Right.
both of us.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Misunderstandings are just opportunities to understand something new.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like that is a whole different perspective.
Right.
The comments from the principal,
right,
are like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's always trying for better. She's always, you know, trying to stretch and think of the best in a positive way to, you know, address the situation. Not the older kid's principal.
Right.
The older kid, my son's principal was like, I mean, he was fighting again. Come get him.
And so, what a world we get to live in.
To evolve and grow like that.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Because to me, that is part of getting your flowers while you're living.
I'm
because
48 now.
Yeah,
right?
come on, honey. Come on.
Who wants to be the same girl you were at 21?
Absolutely.
At 48. If
absolutely.
that's the case, what was the point?
What was the point?
Why? What are you here for?
Yeah, I mean, and I love it because when you talk about writing and you talk about storytelling, you talk about creating, it's like the stories you get to tell. I tell people, I say this all the time. I said, I'm going to live to be 120.
Okay.
Because that's what God said.
Plans.
And God said that because there are some people that stay on the planet longer because they have a longer assignment. I believe I'm one of those people. I believe that I am one of those people who is going to be somebody's great grandma and like sitting on the porch, like literally like dropping gems. Because it's like what's the old lady that passed that was cussing and fussing folks out? She just passed.
I know exactly
she was. I love her. Oh my gosh, she was so fun. What is her name? But whatever her name is, but I love her. Yeah, and she should say whatever was on her mind. But I feel like I'm gonna be that type of person, and I'm gonna be just dropping gems. Yeah, and I love that because the longer you live and the stories that you have, and how interesting it becomes.
Seriously,
you know what I'm saying? When you can tell the laughable stories about who you have been for the last 5 years, and each year there's something different. Or for me, I don't know if this ever happens to you. I open up my journal and I can turn to the journal, like I can turn to like March from 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and I'll be like, and there's a cycle.
That's kind of dope.
There's a cycle of shit that it's like, oh, so in this quarter of my life, I'm doing this. And in this quarter of it's like, there's always a time where I'm like going through shit. Yeah. And there's always a time where I'm like, oh, I'm creative and doing this. And there's always a time where I'm like reflecting on my parenthood. Like but it's all in there.
You just made me feel like I should do better with journaling. I'm not even gonna lie to you because wholeheartedly, all I could think just now is, you know how many years it took me to realize. So, okay, my son was a twin, and when my first son passed away, I was 23. So I didn't really do the whole grieving thing.
Right, you did. Yeah,
I didn't do all that. I just kind of stuffed it down in a box and kept it moving. Right. Now every year, around the end of June, beginning of July, I would start feeling this type of way. I'd be in a mood, I'd be whatever, you know what I mean? And had no clue why. I didn't realize until the year that my son passed, so about almost 4 years ago, I realized that it was the anniversary of his brother's passing every year.
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
that's what it is.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Because that's how we're made for real. So you might try to tell yourself you forgot all you want to. But no,
the body. Louise say the body keeps score. The body remembers, and that's why I try to tell people. I say even when I teach girls about like ovulation, like the body keeps score. Yeah. And like they say, the body doesn't know people. It doesn't know this is Princess, this is Mika. It doesn't know that. It just remembers what it felt. I said, so I try to tell girls, I was like, even with ovulation, right? We talk about like pregnancy and like all of that type of stuff. I was like, the body don't know the who you like and this, that, and third. The body just remember how you felt when you came around these people. Like, so this is the reason why you feel more horny. It's like the body just okay, so now you're here. Okay, go talk to him. Go talk to him. Go talk. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny when I describe it, but I try to make it to understand that it's like, I promise you, the person that you are interested in during your ovulation, it's not because necessarily that you know what I'm saying? People be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's like I just be calling them and it's like, but it's because your body.
No, I couldn't understand what you were saying because mine was actually, I used to want to hurt someone
every
month. And I never realized the reason everybody was making me sick to my stomach was because my hormones were out of whack.
Well, because again, going back to what you just said, we're normalized. So it's like, oh, this cycle that is a normal behavior, now we put it into this box where it's like, well, every 28 days this happens, so now it's a function, so now we've normalized it when there's nothing fucking normal about it
at all.
So if there's nothing normal about it, then why do you expect to react normal? No, motherfucker.
Yes.
You gonna be sleepy.
Yeah.
You gonna be irritable.
Yeah,
you're going. Out. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that no, you don't get to shit on people. No. But you do have to understand that you
Give
are not.
Yourself some grace.
So 3 to 7 days for me, it'd be like 6, 7, right? 3 to 7 days. Your ass ain't normal.
No.
You are depleted.
Yes.
There are things going on. And if you're like, and so you like, oh, I'm going to just operate as normal. Well, explain how that's going to happen. You losing blood, Slim?
Well, you know what's funny? Because so we talk about those type of instances, right? And that makes sense to all of us, right? But then the next moment you run into somebody who's grieving, right? Yep. Or who has lost their job. They might be grieving the loss of a job or loss of a relationship, loss of an actual person, right? But you run into them, and we as people utilize so little patience and so little grace with one another. Like the day of the death, maybe the week of the funeral, maybe. But then all of a sudden, your friend or your whoever loved one has a moment, right? They have something that triggers them. I don't know. You might watch a Pepperidge Farms commercial
and it just come out.
Farms remembers, and so do I. You know what I mean? It could be anything, right? But that could set off a moment in you where you're like, okay, now I need some time to myself. I need to create this boundary for now. You know what I mean? To kind of give myself a buffer, right? But why is it that when we do that we can't understand from our friends that sometimes people need to be by themselves. Sometimes people need to protect their peace by protecting everything in their environment. You know what I mean? How come we don't give that grace to one another?
Well, I think we don't give the grace to one another because we don't give it to ourselves. I also think that each person has a different communication style. Again, going back to me being very blessed, I am so wealthy in my sisterhood that my sisters understand me and get me. I'm not often a person who retreats because I go towards people, as opposed to away. Some people do. Now there are a few times, but like most time I go towards people because I can't hold water. I'm even when I'm not, it's hard for me. Don't tell me your secrets. I probably tell them not even on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Just be in conversation. But
I didn't know that was a secret.
Because I might be sharing. I'd be like, Mika was telling me about her son, and you might not have wanted me to share that.
It would be. You said your foot itching. Mika said she had this gangrene. Like her toe was flipped.
Right. And I'm like,
girl, you told somebody that?
Exactly. And I'm telling you, I do stuff like that.
How it goes,
and I don't be knowing. I'll be like, and in my mind, they be like, Princess, you think somebody would want you to say that? I'm like, I'm not even thinking like that. It was helpful. That's all I'm thinking. But I say that to say that it's just, I was telling you something. Oh my God, I lost it. Oh my God, it was so. Oh, but come back, God. Well, I guess it'll come back when it do.
It will. It will.
But yeah, no. I think that. Oh, you were saying why don't we give that grace? Why don't we give that grace to people? We don't give it to ourselves. I am the type of communicator that announces things.
Okay.
So there are some people who don't.
Right.
And there are some people who don't need that. Like, so I have one friend who was like, when we first became friends, she was like, I need you to call me every day.
Oh.
That didn't bother me because I like talking.
Well, I like the fact that she spoke her needs.
Yeah, well,
that
right.
Very clear.
Well, so right. Somebody else might be like, oh my God, that's someone. I'm like, that's what she needs. Then I got another friend.
Somebody else will get mad at you because you don't call her.
You don't hear.
They never said.
So, and for me, I'm like, I want whatever you need. I don't care because it don't bother me because I can. My thing, because I can be there or not, but some people are not like that. You know what I'm saying? Then I have another friend that I might talk to once, twice, 3 times, 4 times a year. But the love is the exact same. But that's what she needs. I got another friend that does not like to talk on the phone, but she likes to text. Now I'm not. Now when it comes to a dude, I'll be like, you can't text me. But she's just one of the people. She's just better with texting.
Friends.
That's her thing that she. but I don't get, because it don't bother me.
Right.
And I know that if I need her, bitch, call me. Like, if I need her to.
Right.
But I don't need it. I understand that's who she is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I've been very blessed that people have been very open with me about what they need.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to say just loyalty person, but I let people be who they are.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, whoever you are that's who you are.
That's who you are, right?
That's who.
I love that you said that, because I have this really big thing about the fact that you can't, like you said that about your mom earlier, you can't get mad at somebody for loving you the way that they love you,
right?
Because they're probably loving you the best way they know how.
That's all they know,
based on what they've been made of.
Yeah.
Based on probably how they were loved,
right?
And what they didn't or did like,
right,
from how they were loved, even,
right?
And then those good old habits, we don't want to forget about those.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Well, I mean,
and
Ego says, imagine me, they're talking about love me how I see that you should love me.
Right. I don't know how.
Right.
I don't know how.
Right. I just know what listen, I'm just telling you what I think feel good, but but God had my mom to parent me the way that was needed and necessary for me to be this person.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So right? Isn't that so hard? It's so crazy, because it's like every little experience, like we said before, pours into who you are, and who you end up being, but who you were meant to be.
Who you were meant to be.
Is who's going to have those experiences.
Right.
The bad experiences, as bad as they might be sometimes, you got to remind yourself
of that.
It's making me into who I'm supposed to be.
And really, and that is the true meaning of gratitude.
Yeah.
Is because this, and that is where real healing takes place. Yeah. Healing takes place in the moment that there is actual understanding about what is happening, so that it doesn't take away the experience of hurt. It takes away your perception that it was personal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's another one of my things. People are not walking around here intending to offend one another. So many of us get offended. No. But 90% of the time when you're offended, nobody's trying to offend you. You know what I mean? No. It's you taking what you want to take from that situation and receiving offense.
Absolutely. And I mean, and I say, I liken that to, like, when you go in a store and somebody's annoyed as fuck and they talking, may I help you?
Right. Right.
And it's like,
you have a decision to make.
And my thing is, what I know personally, internally, is that whatever storm that you was going through that got your ass pissed off, I ain't do it.
I didn't do it.
We don't even know each other. I just walked in.
I didn't do
it. But I might remind you of whoever the fuck pissed you off. I might got the same hair color. I might talk like this don't come in my line.
Right.
And I learned that from schools. I learned that from pissing kids off. And I'm like, I'll probably remind them of their mama. I'll probably remind them of their auntie. Yeah. Not even trying.
Right.
But and so you have to laugh at that. And you really can't personalize. It's like, if I have not had a personal experience with you, and I walk in a room and you're mad, what the fuck do I look like? Yeah. Getting mad at you being mad about whatever's going on.
Crazy. I probably look. Because here's the kicker: if you walk in a room and your vibration is here, right, and my vibration is here,
okay,
why in the world would you meet me here? You could just stay right here and hope I get up there, or keep it moving.
Listen, when I drive, I take my crystals. I take like my little tree here. It had bent down. I take my tree. The crystals. So this is my crystal tree, and I bend it all different types of ways. It actually dropped today. Look, dropped all in one. It didn't break because as Whitney used to say, I was not built to break. You heard me. Come on, didn't even know my own strength. Yeah. So basically, I took this one and my amethyst. That's my birthday twin. Look, this is my birthday twin. She born August 9th.
Oh, really?
This is my favorite singer.
Wait, hold that up. We gotta give a shout out.
Whitney Houston. Okay, there we go. Whitney Houston. This one and this one. This was when she this was like the commemorative little magazines. And that's my goodness. From her famous when she sang.
Oh wow, when she did the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner.
And why I love
crushed it.
And I love Whitney and will love her. Oh, thank you. I love Whitney, and the reason why I will always love her is because she was a classic example of beautiful mess. Yeah. And the beauty in her voice the challenges that she faced didn't take away from the beauty in her voice.
Not at
People
all.
thought it did. Even when she didn't sound this, I still thought that the album that she put out, even when her voice didn't sound like the voice, I still could hear it.
Yeah.
I still could feel it.
Yeah.
I still
That's what it is. You can still feel it.
I could still feel it. So no, it wasn't this perfect resounding tone, but it also wasn't like this is horrible.
Right.
But that's because but when you normalized whatever perfection of her voice, but if you had used drugs in the way that she had,
right,
if you had been through a public divorce and public humiliation of your man cheating and the woman putting it on the internet,
right,
if you've been through the things that she had gone through, and I ain't even lived it, I'm just just seeing it, I'm like, why would you think that she would be the same?
Exactly.
But I think that she still wrote the fact that takes some guts.
Yes, it does.
To know that you don't sound the same that you did in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But bitch, I'm gonna still get up here.
You talking about going through all that. Most of us couldn't smoke 2 of the cigarettes that she smoked and do any of the stuff that she did.
Listen.
And wait, hold up. Shout out to hey Nikki. Shout out to Leisha. Hey Leisha. And then Kaniki.
Yeah, she was healing and kept it going.
Kaniki.
Yes.
She get that watching from Virginia. Shout out to Virginia.
Yes, that's my bestie.
The V out the DMV.
Yes.
Yeah, Whitney was healing exactly.
She was.
She kept it going.
And what I like was that, and
part.
I think that's what people missed in her death. Like that was the thing that I think that it was like she was showing you that she was working through it, but she was going through it. Because a lot of people, they go to rehab, they go to different things, but they go away from the public.
Yeah.
Right? Because
they hide that best from
and sometimes that's necessary for some people.
Yeah, but what lesson is really taught from that?
And some people, that's just not their way.
Yeah.
Like I understood that type of healing because that's the type of person we born the same day, birthday twins.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I understand. And so I appreciated seeing her go through that, because what it allowed me to see was like her whole self.
Yeah.
So that at no time was I positioning her like up here. And because I think that's what happens when we pedestalize people.
Exactly.
We don't give room for the grace.
Yeah.
Don't pedestalize me. Like, because what I want you to do when you hear my album, read my books, I want you to take the shit that works for you, because nothing that I'm doing is me.
Yeah.
It is not Melissa Princess Best. That is my name, but I am God's conduit. If you take something good, it is all God.
Yeah.
If something else comes from it, then don't pedestalize me.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, I'm gonna fuck up on something.
Amen.
It's a guarantee. I'm gonna fuck up on something.
Yeah.
So therefore, I don't necessarily want to be. I want to be a help.
Yeah.
I want to, so that's why I say it's like offering the things that can help to heal. Take that keep the meat, throw away the bones, baby.
That's the absolute truth. Best advice I ever got.
You know what I mean?
And that's the best advice to take for any encounter or any experience you have.
Yeah.
Keep the meat and throw
away the bones, right?
So, but speaking on that level, tell me, what is the best advice that anybody ever gave you?
Ooh, my God. So much advice. I always think about my professor that passed. I was a student at University of the District of Columbia. Yes. I'm a former Miss UDC, 2001, 2002. Shout out to my Firebirds.
Yes, yes.
I was, it's so funny, I was doing a play, and at that point, I felt like I was public enemy number one, because I had gotten all of the lead roles at the school. And people were starting to say, "Oh, she's the teacher's pet." We had a guest male director. They were like, "Oh, she's fucking the director." Like all of these things. Like, no, it couldn't have been that. No, I actually I'm just actually dope. You know what I'm saying? That couldn't be it. And but it got to me.
Yeah.
And it got to me so much because and I think because and so I told my professor, I left her a voicemail, and I was like, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this role. People are saying that I didn't get it honestly, and And I was like, so I apologize, but I'm just not going to be able to do it. And I left the voicemail. Miss Amelia Gray called my phone and I didn't answer. And she was back when they had the answering service, answering machine. And she said, pick up the phone. I pick up the phone. She said, let me tell you something. She said, you talented people get on my motherfucking nerves. That's how she said it. She said, you up for a role in Hollywood for $13 million up against your girlfriend, and you get the role. You gonna not take it? And I was like, well, no, but she was like, exactly. I'll see your ass on Monday at rehearsal. Click. And I was like, it's like when you get red, you know what I'm saying? And she was like the lightest bright black woman, but like, you know what I'm saying? And she was just like, bitch, I'm not dealing with you today. Like, whatever this shit is that you're going through, go through it, and I'll see you on Monday. On Monday, I go in, and she addresses the whole cast. This is when you know you God body. She said, so as I'm hearing it, y'all believe that Melissa didn't get the role on her own. Let me tell you, and I'm saying this because I'm sitting there in shock because I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna make everybody quit the play. She was like, you know what? She was like, when nobody else shows up for class, Melissa stays the entire time. She said, I've been in class with Melissa so many times by herself doing, you know what I'm saying? She was like, what I do know, she said, I invite my friends to the show. She said, if somebody drops a line, Melissa will know whose line it is and know how to recover. She was like, so don't you dare tell me. Let me tell you something. She said, so don't you dare tell me who deserves the lead role when I know who does. She said, so if anybody has a problem with how I cast, you can fucking leave now. And the room was silent. And later on, she told me, she said, I'm going to tell you. She said, don't you ever pick up shit that people put on you. She was like, because she said, you are talented. And she said, you are going to be in places and spaces where people are going to tell you that you like you didn't get this, so you didn't earn this, you didn't, you know what I'm saying? She was like, she was like, was any of those people in the room? She said, you had the opportunity to leave when the whole class don't show up and you don't leave. She was like, did anybody do that for you? No, ma'am. I don't want to hear it. And she politely mothered me, sunned me, directed me, all of that. You know what I'm saying? And said, deal with that. And you know what I'm saying? And this is how it works in the world. And I would say that piece of advice really has stuck with me, that has allowed me to really kind of like hone in as an artist and like focus even in my personal life, like I said. So when I say I'm not saying that there aren't people that dislike me. I don't concern myself with it. But I don't, because it's not what matters, because what matters is really truly like the work. And I cannot stop, because it's just like being the president or being whomever, right? When you make a decision or you do a certain thing, you are guaranteed that everybody not gonna like that shit. Yeah, you can't please everybody all the time, right? So don't do, because these motherfuckers not gonna like some shit. That's the one guarantee we have, is that everybody's not gonna be happy with your there was a lot of people who didn't like what the fuck Harriet Tubman did. How about that? But bitch, you would. But a lot of people that were mad at her. They was big mad. Like, you're disrupting. Like, you gonna get us in trouble. No, she gonna shoot your ass because you talking too much shit and you in the way of progress. So while I'm trying to free people, your motherfucking mouth is too big. Down. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? You in the way of progress. You're in the way of progress. So this is what I understand about that. You have to understand that. Now, that doesn't mean that you treat anybody fucked up or anything like that, but you stay focused and you talk to God about what is it I'm supposed to be doing. Lock in on that. If you know 100% that is what you're doing, then there is nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to talk about, to think about any of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I kind of, you know what I'm saying? That's how I kind of move. Hey. Alicia said, trust God more. Then she started. Like, okay, yeah, absolutely. At your Harriet Tubman. No, because I'm telling you, because, and I had, and I remember talking to some young girls, and I was like, and they were just like, well, Miss Princess, we be tired of talking about slavery because, and I said, why? And they said, because they didn't feel Harriet Tubman was sexy. I said, okay, I get you. But basically, it's like, because you see her face be in every picture, and that's true. It was like, I was like, I think somebody tried to do like a reimagined version of like what would Harriet have looked like had she not been through all the bullshit she had been through? You know, maybe she would be wearing her, you know, her lace wig. I don't know, whatever. No, they were basically like, every time they see a woman, a strong woman, they were like, she looked beat down. I said, but that's the reason why I rap. Because I want you, because there are sexy parts about Harriet.
How about that?
You know what I'm saying? There are, I mean, she was, first of all, she was a double agent. Right. You got to be a bad bitch to do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you don't necessarily see that because you see the cloak, you see the, you know what I'm saying? She didn't have on no Birkin coat, whatever.
She didn't really do a whole lot of photo shoots necessarily.
No, there was no photo shoots. You know what I mean? Because how you getting people the freedom and you can't be loud. You got to be under the radar.
You're going to be getting people the freedom all.
No, you're right. You look, you out there wearing yellow. You caught.
Yeah.
You caught.
Girl, we see you.
We see you. You know.
You got blonde hair. You got to be out there with blonde hair, yellow one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But what we understand, right, in this life, this is the reason why I do the work the way that I do it, right? Exactly. The hip hop and the theater is a conduit, right? It's the same teachings that the Harriets, that the you know what I'm saying, the Asadas, that all these different people,
Shout out to
Asada, Shakur, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same teachings. All we're doing is remixing it, the re-education. The re-education is not about something new. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the miseducation, it might be about something we miss, but it ain't about, but it's not about something new.
It wasn't about something new.
So it's just that I have the understanding that the girls in school might need to see that girl bright and pink and yellow because that's the only way she gonna get it. Yeah. Well, then I'm gonna come to you with that. Yeah. Because you might not come to the church.
Yeah, I had to talk to a young lady, a friend of mine, my little friend, the other day about the fact that like I code switch. Well, it was a couple of weeks ago about the fact that I code switch, right? But my code switching didn't come from white people. All right. My code switching, the need for me to code switch came from black people. Correct. That told me that I talk so white.
Yeah. Come on, you talk white.
I had to learn how to talk like this or whatever, you know. Or when I'm mad. I can't be yelling at you talking about, if you don't get out of my daughter's face right now. You know what I mean? So therefore, it's my code switching. Absolutely. But those are things just like Harriet not being dressed in, you know, absolutely, or us needing to, absolutely, a little more so because I am listened to way more now because of how I look. I'm sure. Absolutely. Then a young lady seeing me and I look all, you know, broken and bruised. Absolutely. And it's like, you look like you lost your son. Yeah. Instead of, no, you can get through anything. Absolutely. Look at me and I'm just saying. Right. And sometimes on the street and balled up in, you know, crisscross applesauce. Right. Some red carpets. You know what I mean? Like, and you just and sometimes it's about communication, and sometimes it's not even about like what you look like. It's what it's about is I tell people listen to you for two reasons. Yeah. Right. They listen to you because you have something of value to say, or because somebody finds you interesting. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, we're living in a world where the person got to find you interesting. Yeah. So my thing is, I don't care what you like my earrings. Yeah. You like that I'm loud. Cool. Yeah. Whatever gets you to the pasture. That's what I say. You know what I'm saying? You like this. You like that. So that's why I put it in the raps and let the lessons be in there because that's the entry point. Yeah. My thing is, I don't care about all the rap. Dotting the I's and crossing the T's. My thing is, we living right here, right now. I walk outside right now. What can I do right now in the spirit of who I am, walking as God's conduit in this moment? Yeah. Because I got time to plan. The perfect moment, and thinking that everybody's gonna come here and do that. No, you create it, you put it out. You know what I'm saying? You do it with the highest intention possible. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you let that joint work. You let it work. Okay, so we're about to wrap up in a few. But as we're wrapping up, I want to give another shout out to our sponsor. Shout out to the Fort Lauderdale Fiesta. Yes. It is coming up soon. So as I said, if you have not already made your reservation, please do so. Please go to celebrityfiesta.com and get all the information. Make sure you have your room booked, your airfare, your everything put together. And they also have a bus going down. I believe that's through Barry Davis. So check them out. Go to Fort Lauderdale Fiesta. We'll give you a quick, let's play the video real quick. We'll play the video real quick. Again, the Fort Lauderdale Fiesta. It is a time to be had, and I'm sure you'll have a time if you go. That's right, the Fort Lauderdale Fiesta. Again, go to celebrityfiesta.com for further information. Now, as we're wrapping up, as you all know, again, this show is all about why existing is not enough. If you are not already following my YouTube channel, you get additional videos and behind the scenes of my red carpet and things like that at Lavish Conversations on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, of course, so that you can get all the updates and all that good stuff. And then we are going to wrap up as we're leaving out. I would love if you could give me the Healacist. So we're talking to the Healacist now.
Yes.
So Melissa Princess Best is here, but we're talking to the Healacist. Because what I would love is if we could get a little snippet, something leaning towards, why existing, of course, is not enough in this world for you.
Yes, absolutely. So this is called Black Queen Ovation. So it's like, hand clap for the Black Queen, paper stack, got swag, and you walk me. Yeah. Hand clap for the Black Queen, life attacks, you clap back, and you act mean. This is, know for you, life hasn't been a crystal stair, fighting for your life, your rights, and acceptance of your hair. Be clear, I call you queen, not because you always right, but your history was stolen. Royalties, your birthright. Not right was the enslavement that stripped you from your men, and the lie that said that pretty was white and paper thin. Mama said, get your education, don't question, do as you're told. Marriage is not important, being a boss is the goal. Strong-headed, independent, easy to play the role, hard to be vulnerable, relinquish control, taught to count on no one, so you play all the roles, carrying weight over time certainly takes its toll. They told you don't play small, so you play big and bold, and when you're bold, they say you're bossy and that you should be told. Then they say don't do these things, something, dang, sorry, my bad. Then they dish you, say that what you said, that's why you ain't got a man. Live in contradiction of raising Black women. Yeah. Hey! Hand clap for the Black Queen. Hey! Hand clap for the Black Queen.
Hand clap for the Black Queen.
Yes.
Hey, I love it.
That's
Thank
Black Queen
you
Ovation.
so much. I really appreciate you. You dropped some definite gems
Thank
on
you.
my viewers. I appreciate the people that came through to share with us.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I definitely understand the reason for the code switching because of the Black people.
Yes.
It's a trip, right?
Yeah.
Evangelism.
That's a whole talk itself.
That's a whole talk. We might have to revisit that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I appreciate you all for tuning in. I appreciate you for being the best you that you can be.
Thank you.
And you know why?
Mm.
Because there's literally nobody out here better suited for the job than you.
Correct.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you all have a great day. I hope you all continue to be the best you can be as well. And we will talk to you next week on From the DMV Live with Mika. My special guest next week, you guys, is going to be Dr. T. Pearson. So we're keeping it coming with the greatness in case you're not, noticing the trend here. If you want to see some of the past interviews that I've done, you can look on my YouTube page and you can also see them on wearegogomusic.com. So my YouTube page, as I said, is Lavish Conversations. And we have other little insights and things like red carpet conversations. And then you can see the past episodes as well. So I look forward to seeing you all there. See you soon. And let's see if we can find my outro this time.
Hey, look, let me talk my talk. Let me speak my piece. It's for all my dogs. Coming straight off the leash. She kill them all like the Reaper. I need a girl like Nika. She jumping out the gym on all them hoes. Shorty came straight out the bleachers. Hey, she the baddest. Hey, that girl too bad.